Okay, so the downtown community plan is a part of our general plan. It's a comprehensive plan that we've been working on for 7 years, and I'm really excited to bring this project to completion. We're really looking to fundamentally change the way that we do planning in Los Angeles, and this plan is really going to set that change. So when we talk about the community plan, we are talking about a geography that is comparable to the size of the city of Beverly Hills. It's about a 6 square mile area. It is comprised of a unique collection of neighborhoods. So the downtown plan area is generally bounded by the 110 freeway to the west, the Los Angeles River to the east, Chinatown and Dodger Stadium to the north, and the 10 freeway to the south. So we're actually in the downtown plan area right now. We're at the bottom left-hand corner. So a community plan is really a part of the city's general plan element. So there are several elements as part of the city's general plan. Those include noise, land use, open space. So the city, because it is so large, is carved up into 35 community plan areas. And this community plan comprises one of those areas. And really what it does is it sets a long-range vision over the next 20 to 30 years and includes policies and zoning recommendations. So this slide really kind of breaks down the framework of what we're doing. For years, this plan has been in process for 7 years. So we've done thousands of outreach meetings. We've met with stakeholders across the plan area. And what we do is we memorialize that vision in a policy document through the form of goals and implementation programs. We also redesignate the zoning and land use allowances on all of the parcels in the plan area. So that is done through the general plan land use map, which sets the range of uses and intensities. So sometimes it's easier to think of this as more of like a Euclidean zoning approach. And then we have our zoning. So our zoning is really, really specific about how buildings are realized. So it speaks to the activities and the design of the project. And lastly, in downtown, we have the community plan implementation overlay, which really aims to capture things that exist outside of zoning. So for example, in downtown, we have a lot of design best practices that speak to the legacy of certain neighborhoods and how development can be more contextual. One really exciting thing about the downtown plan is that it is bringing forward a new zoning code for the city of Los Angeles. So the last time the zoning code was comprehensively updated was 1946. So really excited to remove things like haberdasheries out of our zoning code and have a little bit more of a contemporary focus on our current challenges. So the downtown plan area will be the first geography to apply the zoning code, and it'll be applied throughout the city subsequently with other community plan updates. So for anybody in this room that does real estate development, exciting, you'll have 2 codes to learn for a number of years. So yeah, we're really excited to bring this very Herculean effort to completion and really bring a code forward that speaks to our contemporary context and our contemporary challenges. So as I mentioned, this plan has been in process for 7 years. So we launched in 2014. We've been through multiple rounds of city review and received unanimous approval from the City Planning Commission in 2021. Excited to announce, I don't know if the e-blast is out, so this is secret intel, but on Monday, we're going to go to the City Council Planning and Land Use Management Committee for our final step in the adoption process. So after the approval of the plan, there'll be about a 6-month to a year timeline where the city attorney will be reviewing the documents, and then projects can start to file under the new zoning. Okay, so let's get into the meat of what the plan is really focusing on. So the downtown plan is really outlining a bold vision to really create an equitable city center and building a city within a city. This is really looking at bold growth and how to balance a lot of competing needs in regards to housing and economic growth. So some of the fundamental challenges that have risen out of our stakeholder outreach are climate change, access to housing, equity, a shifting economy, mobility in the public realm, and environmental justice. So one of the key roles of a community plan update process is to consider our state and regional planning objectives. So one of the groups that we work with closely is the Southern California Association of Governments. And every 4 years, they produce regional projections. And as part of this plan update process, we aim to accommodate that capacity through a rezoning process. So according to SCAG, over the next 20 to 30 years, downtown is anticipated to triple in population. SCAG is anticipating that there will be 125,000 new residents, 70,000 housing units, and 55,000 new jobs. And really through this planning process, what we're looking to do is accommodate that growth near our transit and civic resources. So 80% of the plan's capacity is within a half mile of a major transit stop. And this is really key as we think about including all of these new residents, workers, and visitors in downtown, and making sure that they have the option for multiple mobility choices. So when we think about how this relates to our overall citywide growth strategy, the downtown plan is accommodating 20% of the city's overall household growth in just 1% of the land area. And a key way we're doing this and utilizing the new code is we're really able to streamline the development process by removing barriers for thoughtful projects. So one thing that we're looking to do is really being more flexible in terms of parking. I think historically we've seen a lot of projects overpark because of really stringent parking minimums. What we want to see is we want to see spaces for people, not cars. So we're going to remove our parking minimums and let developers choose what is appropriate for their projects. We're also going to institute certain design requirements for above-grade parking to make sure that they're adaptable in the future to really complement our sustainability goals. Also, we're going to look at things that have really restricted high-density housing. So rules that limit the number of units in a building, really strenuous open space requirements, also looking at relaxing our minimum setbacks, our minimum lot sizes to allow for streamlined infill development on smaller sites. Also a key tenet of this plan is really to produce housing that's affordable to a range of income levels. So there are significant and robust incentives for housing, and particularly housing that includes restricted affordable units. Additionally, as we think about this growth of residential population, we're looking to streamline neighborhood supportive services such as schools and daycare, But it's important to note that downtown is a collection of unique neighborhoods. In downtown, we have really regional significant places that each have their own character. So even though we're accommodating a significant amount of growth, not all neighborhoods are going to grow the same way. And through this unique zoning, we're able to tailor the design rules per neighborhood to make sure that when growth occurs, it really reflects the desires of the community and also the legacy of design that has defined those places. Also, I just want to take a moment. It's really important to note the really significant and robust collaboration that we've had with the downtown community. And I think all of the feedback we've received makes our work better. So the downtown community has really put forward a number of vision documents, white papers, and has been very engaged in the adoption process. And I think it's important to recognize and uplift this work. So over the next few slides, I'm just going to quickly talk through some of the downtown core principles. So first is to grow and support the residential base. It's important to note that most of downtown today doesn't actually allow housing. Only 33% of the plan area allows housing today. So this is the western portion of the plan area. For those of you familiar with the downtown neighborhoods that includes places like South Park, the historic core, and the financial district. So as part of our growth strategy, we're looking to essentially double the land area where housing is permitted and also increase allowances on the intensity at which it can be built. And again, this is key as we think about our citywide strategy of producing more housing and particularly more affordable housing. Also, as we introduce this housing, we still want to maintain downtown as the primary job center of the region. And this is key because as we introduce housing, we want to make sure that people can live near where they work so they're not dependent on cars. This will reduce traffic in other neighborhoods and also help to improve our overall air quality in the region. So one way we're doing this is we're being a little bit more flexible in terms of use. In downtown today, a significant portion of the plan area, about 80%, has a single-use focus. So what this means is that most of the zoning is either focused on strictly industrial or residential. So one thing that's exciting about this plan in the new code is that we're able to bring forward a suite of mixed-use zones, some which are more traditional commercial use and some which we're calling hybrid industrial. So they look at ways to sustain more innovative industrial activities that don't pose toxic or harmful chemicals for nearby residents. Also, we're looking to reinforce special places. So as I mentioned, downtown is home to a lot of regionally and culturally significant neighborhoods, such as Little Tokyo and Chinatown. And the new suite of zones can speak to certain design features. So I wanted to show two examples here. The example on the left is a recent project in the historic core, which is a National Register Historic District. Typically in the historic core, the building datum line is about 150 feet in height. So we're thinking about as new development occurs, we want projects to maximize the use of a site. So instead of posing a strict height limit of 150 feet, what we're doing here is we're introducing upper story step backs to kind of push the massing away from the street so that the pedestrian experience has continuity across the district, but we're still allowing for more intensity in the area. Also with the new zones, we're introducing, in certain instances, requirements on material types, on transparency, speaking to things like cornice lines and horizontal and vertical banding that really reflect the predominant facade typologies in the area. Also, we're looking at introducing building breaks, which will allow for new construction to complement the cadence along our blocks while allowing taller buildings. And this really helps the pedestrian experience to make sure that infill development is still contextual. Also, I want to talk a little bit about mobility. So as part of the downtown plan, since this is really a land use strategy, we're focusing on private property. But that doesn't mean that we can't produce rules on the private property that enhances pedestrian safety. So as part of the plan, we have, in our zoning code, we have rules about pulling the buildings closer to the sidewalk to reduce distances for pedestrians, and also limiting the width and frequency of curb cuts in certain primary streets to reduce any conflicts between those pedestrians. Also in our policy document, we call on our other departments in the city family, such as DOT, to assess the appropriateness of things like protected bike lanes, protected bus lanes, and scramble crosswalks. One other thing that is really exciting about the plan is looking beyond what traditionally is produced by zoning and figuring out how to ensure that when new development occurs, benefits defined with the community are also brought forward. I think historically we've seen that in some instances, in order to get community benefits, the city will extract fees from the developer. One challenge to that is that oftentimes a lot of those fees go to administrative costs. They also have a long period of time of accrual before they can be dispersed. So what this plan is looking to do is to prioritize on-site benefits. So it's introducing a whole new system that when developers want to exceed a certain FAR or height, They would provide things like restricted affordable housing, schools, daycares, and in certain instances, a funding mechanism for support for those experiencing homelessness. Okay, so that about wraps up my presentation. Really excited to speak with you all today. I know this isn't very technical and infrastructure related, but I think it's still good to scale out and think about broader visions. So happy to answer any questions after the presentation.